I'd like to welcome the Minister for Women and a nurse as well, Maria Caulfield, to the programme. Good morning to you. Can we start, since we were just discussing Nicola Bulley, and I know that you are, as you say, a Secretary of State for Women, your thoughts on the whole case and whether or not, as Suella Braverman is suggesting, there should be an independent review of Lancashire Police's handling of this case?
Yeah, well, obviously my sympathies are with Nicola's family. You know, tragic events that we've seen play out, and I know the family have called for privacy, so I don't want to dwell too much on her specific case. And the Home Secretary is reviewing how the police handled the case as well. But I think it's obviously tragic events, and I think I was listening to your piece just before coming on air, and actually we do need to learn some lessons collectively about how we speculate about these cases in the future.
Well, one of the elements of the investigation that the police released was her struggle with the menopause. It's something that a lot of women can relate to, and I know it's something that you want to talk about this morning, not in relation to Nicola Bulley, but in HRT specifically. And the government's announcing new measures to try and ease access for women. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, absolutely. And I think for too long the impact of the menopause on women has been really underestimated. And for some women, they do go through the menopause relatively lightly. Maybe their periods stop and they have a few hot flushes. But for a lot of women, they have quite debilitating symptoms from, night sweats to mood swings to brain fog, heart palpitations. And these don't just go on for days or weeks or even months. They sometimes can go on for years. And HRT is one of those things that can restore some of a woman's hormones and reduce some of those effects, so that women who are really in the prime of their life, who are really struggling with maybe young families, caring for older relatives, trying to hold down busy, successful jobs, HRT can be a lifeline for many women. And as the government, we want to support women who are going through the menopause and reducing the cost of HRT by announcing our prepayment certificates, which will mean that for a double prescription charge, that's all a woman will have to pay for a whole year. It means HRT will be affordable for women and shouldn't be a factor when women are considering whether to take HRT or not.
And many women will be pleased to hear that this morning, and yet I'm told by many women who want to get access to HRT that it's not actually about the cost that's prohibitive, it's actually about the supply chain. They simply, either can't see a GP to get that prescription, or the pharmacists simply don't have what they need. What are you doing to address the supply chain issues?
Well, the cost is an issue for some women. If they're on other medication, for example, they will already be paying prescription charges, say for asthma inhalers, or for if they're diabetic. So to add on HRT can be a considerable cost, and the new prepayment certificate will save women hundreds of pounds, particularly those who are on the dual hormone, estrogen and progesterone. But I absolutely take your point about supply. We've been a victim of our own success. We've seen a 50% increase in the number of women coming forward for HRT, which has put pressure on supply. That's a success story. We want women to be getting onto HRT. We are meeting with industry on a regular basis. Our last meeting was only last week. We have over 70 HRT products, and there's really only a shortage for 5 of those. Now, if you're a woman who's on one of those 5, that's an issue, but that's why we've put in what we call SSPs to manage the stock. One of those hormones will be coming back in stock this week. So it's an active management of the situation. We did have over 19 products that were in short supply. We're now down to 5. But as more women come onto HRT, we are working with manufacturers to increase that supply so we can keep up with the demand. So I want to reassure women we are working behind the scenes to make sure that they can get reliable access to their HRT when they need their prescriptions renewing.
OK, I want to ask you, it is Tuesday, Cabinet will be meeting. The papers are reporting this morning that a Brexit deal that is being suggested by Rishi Sunak may trigger resignations. Of course, the Prime Minister for the last 3 months has been working very hard to be a unity Prime Minister. This is a first real test for him. We've already heard now from Penny Mordaunt and Suella Braverman saying if he drops that protocol bill, it could be problems.
Yeah, so the Northern Ireland Protocol has been an issue for a while now. We know that. That's why there isn't an up and running assembly in Northern Ireland or an executive, and that's causing problems for people in Northern Ireland, because devolved matters such as health, for example, are not able to be addressed. And so it's really crucial, and that's why the Prime Minister has put this as one of his first priorities, to try and sort out the Northern Ireland Protocol. A deal hasn't been reached. Negotiations are ongoing, and I think we all agree that we need to resolve this once for all. First and foremost for the people of Northern Ireland, and that's the Prime Minister's
people are aware of the reasons why it
moment.
needs resolving. The question is how the Prime Minister is going to resolve it. The Labour Party are accusing the Prime Minister of putting party before country, that he's basically being held to ransom by his backbenchers.
Well, I think that's, for the Labour Party to say that after they tried to thwart Brexit at every opportunity, it absolutely, shows the brass neck of the Labour Party. But the Prime Minister is working through the negotiations. Well, but we haven't got a deal. What are they voting for? We haven't seen the details, and that just tells you that they're playing politics with the situation. Our priority is trying to get this right for the people of Northern Ireland, the Prime Minister has met with the DUP, for example, who are happy with elements of it, the work now is to try and get those negotiations to a place where we can get an agreement on this and can make progress.
What do you make of the interventions from Boris Johnson and now Liz Truss as well on the introduction of jets to Ukraine? Is it coordinated mischief-making, as some people are suggesting?
Well, I think the Prime Minister has been very clear he wants to support Ukraine. We've done a huge amount already. We've got the first anniversary coming up this Friday, when there'll be a minute's silence at 11 o'clock to commemorate the start of the conflict. And the Prime Minister is trying to encourage allies across the Western world to support Ukraine with help and support. And absolutely, jets are one of those issues, and he's asked the Defence Secretary to look at this. So I think we're all singing from the same hymn sheet, but they have to be the right pieces of equipment that Ukraine can use quickly and don't need months of training in order to be able to use. So there's lots of work going on behind the scenes on this specific issue.
And just lastly, with your hat on as Junior Minister in Health and Social Care, I've got to ask you about the junior doctors going out on strike, with the BMA yesterday saying that those newly qualified are effectively earning £14 an hour, that many doctors are living in conditions that have mould and damp. This can't be right for our doctors. They're going to be leaving in their droves.
Well, a junior doctor covers anyone from a newly qualified doctor right through to someone who's about to become a consultant. And so wages, starting wages are around 33,000, go up to over 55,000. But what the BMA are asking for is 26%. Now, that is just not affordable. And so, we have to be realistic in terms of what the country can afford. They were given an 8.4% pay deal. They're not on the independent pay review body scheme. They're on a multi-year settlement, which they absolutely supported at the time, and so I would say to them, particularly when they're saying they won't cover areas like A&E and ITU, that patients will be put at risk by these strikes, and so they need to negotiate with the government for their next multi-year pay settlement. But 26% is not something that we can afford.
Caulfield, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much indeed for your time this morning.